Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to all of you here in person and virtually to Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Samaradi. I'm one of the practice associates here, as well as one part of a whole team for today's service, which includes Reverend Matthew Funkcrary, Alex Stuckey and Dan Ovid, who are handling our audio visuals, our music director, Chris Tackett, and Susan Alexander, who's our Zoom host today, as well as all the people behind the scenes who've helped us. Please turn around and wave at our folks attending virtually. You are all welcome. There is so much to appreciate about this time of year. I'll start with something that might resonate for those of you who've been around small children. During summers, we deal with early morning risings starting at 5 a.m. So I'm very familiar with sunrise and sundown times. So this time of year with the extended nighttime leads to their sleeping in more, which, trust me, I am ever so grateful for. I'm an early riser, so one of my favorite things this time of year is the longer night, and more specifically, having that extra time uninterrupted, which I used to take for granted. That's them screaming right now. This time, usually with the only cup of coffee that I can fully enjoy by myself, is so valuable. Part of it is having the time to figure out the logistics of balancing things with multiple schedules, and which requires checking in with my partner, my planner, the family planner, the kids' calendars, the work schedule. So there's the logistics. But the part I really enjoy, though, is having some time to dream about what I want to have happen over the next day, the next week, the next few months. Lists may come, but they may come later, but first the dreaming. While I have used that time to connect to friends on the East Coast without interruptions, I find that I'd rather have other times for that. This time is for me, my gift to myself, to be internal in a way that offers me a richness that sustains me throughout my day. So welcome to all of you as you explore your own relationship to this time of year and what it does and can mean for you. Welcome and blessed be. Our chalice lighting today is by the Reverend Kathy Huff. Divine spark from sacred dark, symbol of our holy intent. Illuminate this hour.
We have two chalices on our altar this morning. The second one is a celebration chalice. We light a celebration chalice when there is a monumental event in the life of our congregation. And so it can be lit for a birth or for perhaps a passage or the death of someone among us. And today we will light our celebration chalice for Bob Bolin, who died this last week. Tom and I will be reading an adaptation of The River of Dreams to Billy Joel song. You go ahead and use that one.
In the middle of the night, I go walking in my sleep from the mountains of faith to a river so deep.
Must be looking for something sacred I lost. But the river is wide and it's too hard to cross.
Even though I know the river is wide, I walk down every evening and stand on the shore. I try to cross to the opposite side so I can finally find what I've been looking for.
In the middle of the night, we're walking in my sleep in the mountains of faith to a river so deep.
And I've been searching for something taken out of my soul, something I would never lose, something somebody stole.
I don't know why I go walking at night. I'm tired, and I don't want to walk in the morning. I hope it doesn't take the rest of my life until I can finally find God.
In the middle of the night, I go walking in my sleep through the desert of truth to the river so deep.
We all end in the ocean. We all start the stream. All carried along by the river.
We're all carried along by the river of dreams.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind rain moan, earth stood hard as iron, water like snow. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, oh so long ago.
This is a season when the dark is growing strong, reaching its peak at the winter solstice on December 21st. On December 22nd, the Earth begins tilting the northern hemisphere, gradually back towards our sun. The light begins to grow stronger, and every creature in the northern hemisphere celebrates the rebirth of light. Hindus have Diwali, Jews have Hanukkah, pagans have Yule, Christians have Christmas.
For some of us, the light can be a symbol representing the light of reason by which we find our way in life. We honor reason in our faith tradition and rebel against any faith system that demands that we put aside our need for things to make sense. But for others, the light can represent the light of the Spirit that ebbs and flows inside us all, and as we feel sometimes drained and dusty, and other times energetic and enthusiastic and supple. Sometimes in our life are spirited times, and others are dispirited times.
As we contemplate the meaning of the dark times and the light times, the earth-based traditions would caution us against using the dark as a symbol for all that is negative. If we use darkness to speak about ignorance, depression, and evil, we speak as if it would be best to have no darkness at all. To have light all the time, that would be awful. There is a season for dark and a season for light.
Is it possible then that there is a time to feel energetic and a time to feel drained in the rhythm of life? A time to let life and energy flow outward from you, and a time for it to flow inward. Maybe the ebb and flow of spirit is a rhythm that is good to feel. Maybe in our growing into wholeness, there is a time to feel dusty and dry, hard as iron, like the winter ground, and stony as winter water.
Maybe, instead of worrying and suffering over those feelings, we could settle into them, knowing that there is a time for cold and a time for warmth, a time to be energetic and a time to rest, a time to grow and a time to stay where you are, a time for the light of reason and a time for other ways of knowing.
Maybe we could walk in beauty and balance more easily if we would welcome the dark time, trusting that when it reaches its full strength, things will begin to tilt back in the other direction.
Nothing stays the same in the flow of things.
All things seek their balance and their rhythm.
The wheel will always turn.
The light will always be reborn.
We need not be afraid.
This month, as humans have done for thousands of years, we can bid goodbye to the dark in peace and greet the rebirth of light with rejoicing. I invite you now to a time of meditation, of centering and breath, and the peace of the season of dark. Breathe with me as you can comfortably here, wearing a mask or at home. Breathe in and out slowly, and welcome the dreams, your dreams of the past and the present and the future. Breathe and allow for your sense of your body to awaken. Breathe and open to the community that surrounds you. Breathe and feel the flow of your history through you. the season of dark, long and longer nights, the welcoming rest and sleep is a time that invites our dreaming. Dreams of the past, shining memories of beloveds recently or long gone, in gatherings and in celebrations. Dreams of the present, sparkling hopes and wishes for health and happiness for yourself, for those around you. And dreams of the future, a kaleidoscope of possibilities and opportunities, perhaps near, so close that you could reach out and touch them, perhaps far, far into the future, but there, always there, waiting for you to realize them. Breathe and know that there is a yearning in these dreams. There is a longing for loved ones, a desire for wellness in body and in spirit, a vision of the future that calls to you. So what are your dreams? What are your dreams in this season of rest and this embracing dark? What memories summon you? What hopes excite your body? What calls to you to quietly move forward into the waking world? Whatever your dreams are, all that they are, these are your dreams of your favorite things. Favorite things can be bittersweet, like a chocolate candy. Bitter because they come with a sense of loss sometimes. Sometimes they bring our fear. Oftentimes they hold our grief. And yet they can still be sweet because they are your soul's truest longings, deepest desires, and most inspiring visions. These dreams, they're the gifts of the season of dark. So welcome them. Welcome these dreams into your history and breathe. Welcome them into our community. And embrace them in your body. And rest. In the season of dark, the season of dreams, know that when the time comes, we will awaken. But for now, be at peace. May it be so. Kind listener, whatever be your name, I beg you call to mind the table covered with your last Christmas gifts in their newest gloss as they first appeared to your delighted vision. And then you will be able to imagine with astonishment the same feelings of the children as they stood with sparkling eyes, unable to utter a word for the joy at the sights before them. And so begins E.T.A. Hoffmann's 1816 short story entitled The Nutcracker and the Mouse King. It's the story of young Maria Stahlbaum and her dream, which would eventually become the world's most famous ballet. So before there was a holiday tradition of sugar plum fairies or international suites dancing to Tchaikovsky's score, there was Maria's dream, the battle between the Nutcracker and the Mouse King. You see, of all the gifts on that Christmas Eve, it was the Nutcracker that was Maria's favorite thing. And the longer Maria gazed upon the little man whom she had taken a liking to at first sight, the more she sensed how such good nature and friendliness was expressed in his features. Nothing but kindness and benevolence shone through his clear violet, though somewhat too prominent eyes. Hoffmann narrates. Adoring the little doll, Maria stays up to midnight playing, long after others have gone to bed, and then begins to hear and see such strange and wonderful occurrences it can only mark the beginning of her dream. The grandfather clock sounds midnight. Dickory, dickory, dock, whir, softly clock, Mouse King has a fine ear. Purr, purr, pum, the song let him hear. Purr, purr, pum, or he might run away in fright. Now the clock strikes softly and light. And the skitterings and the squeakings of mice around the edges of the room and underneath the furniture begin to mass themselves into a horde. And if you had seen what Maria now beheld, you would certainly have run away. Close before her feet there burst out of sand and lime and crumble wall stones, as if thrown up by some subterranean force, 7 mice heads with 7 sparkling crowns rising out of the floor, squeaking and squealing terribly. Presently, the mouse's body, to which these 7 heads belonged, it worked its way out, and a great mouse crowned with 7 diadems, squeaking loudly, advanced to meet his army, which set itself in motion. But quick as a flash, the Nutcracker jumped up. Grateful for the love and attention that Maria had given him, he rouses the toys to protect her from the horde. My loving vassals, friends and siblings, will you stand by me in this hard fight, he calls, and in response the toys assemble themselves into her defensive army. And just in time, too, for the moment the ranks are ordered, dolls and tin soldiers, harlequins, and a toy drummer, the battle begins. Each corps fought with greatest animosity, and the victory was for a long time in doubt. The Mouse King and the mice squeaked and screamed, and then the mighty voice of the Nutcracker could be heard as he gave the necessary orders, as he had been striding along through the battalions in the hottest of fire. The toys fought valiantly, yet the terrible numbers of the Mouse King swell and press, they swell and they press, until the Nutcracker stood alone before his enemy. Nutcracker, now completely surrounded by the foe, was in the greatest peril, and the Mouse King, squeaking from his 7 throats, leapt in triumph toward him. "Oh, my poor Nutcracker," Maria cried, sobbing, and without being exactly conscious of what she did, grasped her left shoe and threw it with all her strength into the thickest of the mice, straight at the king. And in an instant, all were scattered and dispersed, and Maria sank into a swoon on the floor. Now, Maria awakes in her own bed into the comfort and safety of Christmas Day. And in the winter daylight, she comes to learn the mystery of the Nutcracker's identity, and then she will again save him with her love and her care. For she alone perceives his true kindness and bravery hidden inside his wooden appearance. And then she rescues him by loving him for all that he is, for his whole being. And yet, somehow, it's more than that, isn't it? Hoffman's original tale of Maria's Midnight Dream on Christmas inspired so many more adaptations, inspired music and choreography, ballet and films. It's become a staple for so many through this season. In all adaptations following the original, the dream doesn't end. It continues in a journey into the kingdom of sweets with dancing sugar plums and chocolates, candy canes, and marzipan, little people. However, it is told, though, it is the winter dream of favorite things and the fear of losing them that continues to resonate among us. It's the determination to save those favorite things, to hold on to them, even through tiny, small actions that we tell and retell every year. Certainly today, it is the art of the Nutcracker, its music and its dancing, but it's also the power in the dream of facing our terrifying fears, the dream of perceiving others so clearly that we can love them wholly, the dream of a struggle that through our actions, no matter how small, we win and we awake into the light. May we once again share in this dream, in this season of dreams, now and in our days to come. Well, here we are, once again, in the season of dark. We've returned to our annual occurrence as we round the year, and the days becoming shorter and the nights, oh, so much longer. The challenge for me is always to slow down, to rest and relax, and to begin to welcome other ways of knowing. Here we are once again in the dark. COVID numbers are rising. Throughout Arizona, here in Pima County, and in our congregation. And the unknown of COVID challenges me once again. It raises my concerns for the well-being of so many. The physical, emotional, and spiritual health of my beloveds, of our beloveds. Here we are, once again in the dark, with the unease, with the fears, with the anger, and the doubt, and the frustration, and the grief, and perhaps even the dread. These are the feelings of my heart, arising for our world, for so many, and for myself. And perhaps you know these aches in your hearts as well. And yet here in this season of dark, in the dark once again, there is a gift. And it is the gift that if we can accept it, will see us through to the light. It is another way of knowing. It is a way of living with uncertainty. It is a way of welcoming our heartaches for what they teach us about what we cherish as our most favorite things. And it is the gift of our dreams. In his book, Why We Sleep, Unlocking the Power of Dreams and Sleep, Dr. Matthew Walker, a psychologist and neurologist, explores the biological purpose of dreaming. Instead of analyzing dreams for their meaning, Dr. Walker uses technology and studies and well-crafted experiments, seeking to engage a wide range of participants so that it can make statements about our humanity. And he concludes that dreams are essentially restorative and beneficial to our waking lives. He writes, through its therapeutic work at night, dreams in our REM sleep performed the elegant trick of divorcing the bitter emotional rind from the information-rich fruit of our daily experiences. Our dreams, through this process of deep sleep, are our natural means of working through emotions while reserving information that is salient to the waking world. Our dreams are not only there to engage challenging emotions, but allow us to retain the most significant parts of our experiences in creative ways. And Walker then relates the story of singer-songwriter Paul McCartney of the Beatles, as if I have to say that, who through his dreams composed to the song Let It Be. McCartney was mourning the death of the band's manager and his friend Brian Epstein. And in his grief, he felt he could no longer perform. He couldn't sing, he couldn't play, he couldn't write. And in the midst of this personal struggle, he dreamt of his mother, Mary, who had died when he was 14. She came to him in the dream. She reassured him that everything was going to be all right. And when he woke, he had pretty much the entire song playing in his head. McCartney recalls, "It was such a sweet dream. I woke up thinking, oh, it was really great to visit with her again. I felt very blessed to have had that dream." This is the blessing of the season of dark, of the season of dreams that we are in. It is the gift that we need right now. It's the gift that I need at this moment. I need the dreams to engage my fears and my doubts, my sorrows and my frustration, to have them mix and mingle with the most important information so that they can generate creative responses. I need this gift and this blessing. I think you need it as well. And it's a gift that we can find within the stories that we give one another throughout this season, but it's also a gift that we are currently giving each other here in this community. Over the last week, I have been meeting with our leaders, individually with individuals like Tom Sawyer, our board president, also with our COVID policy team, our pastoral care team, and just yesterday, our pastoral associates. And we have been enacting the dream. As COVID has burst out of the ground, complicated and complex like a multi-headed monster among us once again, we have shared what is in our hearts. We have named the fears we have for ourselves and our health, for those among us who are impacted, for those among us who are vulnerable. We've named our frustrations and our anger, that this is happening all over again. Weren't we done with this? We've shared our disappointments and our dread that somehow this is not just going to impact our individual lives, the plans that we have been so looking forward to in this holiday season, but also the plans that we have made as a community of faith. Beautiful momentum and excitement that we feel together here in our newly developing spiritual home. Thank you to all of you who have shared what is in your hearts, who have shared these deepest, most uncomfortable emotions, not just with me, but with each other. We have seen it. We have named it. And we know who we are struggling against, not one another, not all of the emotions and opinions. We are struggling to find one another in the midst of uncertainty, here in the dark. And then, after sharing all that's in our hearts, we begin to generate. We have shared beginnings of plans, thoughts and ideas, brainstorms and concepts, until things begin to emerge out of our shared dreaming. Like this that came out of our pastoral associates meeting yesterday. We will be guided to hug our Mountain Vista congregation, mindful of the feelings and opinions among us so that we can inspire one another with our congregation's compassionate strength. Now, we've named that in this moment, in the face of this monster of COVID that has reemerged. But you'll notice that it doesn't say anything about COVID in it, or a pandemic, or illness. Instead, this names who we are at this moment. It is a clarity that will guide us as we begin to make those plans, to put things onto calendars and bring about logistics so that we can keep one another safe and we can protect our vulnerable, that we can hold one another, that we can remain in contact and connection that we prize. We will do all of these things. We will do all of these things. We will do carefully and cautiously and compassionately, and we will do so sharing our congregation's strength. But first, and for now, we dream. It's right that we rest our bodies and our spirits, and we allow for the emotion. It's right that we rest our bodies and our spirits, and we allow for the dreams. In this season of dreams, we are not alone in the dark. We find one another in the dark. May it be so, now and in all of the season to come. Amen.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and I'm here to make a final announcement about Choya Chow, which for me is part of my dream that it will be successful after the beginning of the year. I hope you've read about it in the newsletter, and the last day for sign up will be next Sunday, and it is again through the newsletter. You sign up online. Just to reassure you, if things change, if COVID does impact things, if you're tentative about signing up and concerned that you might not feel comfortable, sign up anyway, and we will just adapt as we always do to whatever things happen. I'm going to be putting some yellow flyers out for you to take. There's contact information if you have questions to ask me, but I would encourage you to use my email address rather than the phone number because I'm not going to be available by phone for a good part of the week. Thanks.
Thank you. As you leave through these doors today, you will see two bowls. You'll see our wooden bowl, which is where we invite you to give any of your donations to this congregation. That can be in the form of your pledge. It could be in the form of a bigger gift that you wish to give to this church for the work that we do. You will also see there the woven basket. In the woven basket, we take up an offering each month for an individual organization that is doing the work that we would see done in the world. This month, we take up a collection to share with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. This is a remarkable branch of our faith, enacting our values here in the United States and globally. We'll be sharing more details of their work throughout the month, but if you wish to give something to be shared with the UUSC, then just please put that into the woven basket. All of your gifts will be gratefully received. Our closing words today come from the Reverend Gwen Matthews. They are entitled, "You Are the Holiday Miracle." As December opens up before us, we welcome in the gift of reflection, and we turn toward our holiday celebrations in search for common threads of meaning. We begin with Hanukkah, the festival of lights, which commemorates a time of miracles when the faith of the Jewish people sustained them to reclaim their holy temple and keep the light of the menorah burning for 8 days. Yule, the winter solstice, invites us to explore duality and cycles and seasons, and to witness the holly king being overcome by the oak king. And Yule reminds us that we all partake in the miracle of renewal. Christmas, the celebration of Jesus' humble birth in a manger, offers us the opportunity to revisit the miracle of birth and the desire to find saviors to heal the scars of humanity. Here in our church, you are just as much a holiday miracle as the turning of our earth, as the persistence and dedication of faith, as the creation of each new life. We see the love that you give to others, the space you create to hold one another's aspirations and lamentations, and the generosity of spirit that you entrust to this community. You are the holiday miracle. This faith community is one of miracle makers. And we release our flame with these words by the Reverend Jennifer Grayson. Universal mystery. Guide us away from the desire to shine light in all the corners. Teach us to embrace the night, for without the darkness, we never see the stars.